District. Thank you, Board of Education, to order at 5 p.m. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Make sure Tracy's here. Oh, there she is. Okay. Okay, we had no reportable action in closed session today. Let's see, where am I over here? I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Fernando moved and Mrs. Reuter seconded. Any questions, any changes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Let's see. Well, we are excited to see so many people here today, especially the PTA presidents. That's exciting. And Mrs. Edward and everybody. And Jack Norrell, thank you for being here. Thank you, Mrs. Reuter. So let's see, we will just move on with this, with our board recognition. Should I turn that over to you, Dr. Kelson, or am I just gonna, will you? Okay.
I'll be happy to speak to it.
Thank you.
Good evening, esteemed community members. Our first order of recognition is for a CIF Champion of Character. Dr. Brummett, would you please come up to the podium and tell us about this wonderful, well-earned award?
I will. Good evening. The Jim Staunton Champions of Character Awards recognize athletes and coaches that combine a fierce competitive nature with the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, responsibility, respect, fairness, caring, and citizenship. The CIF Southern Section Ethics and Sports Committee created these awards. Jack is one of 14 students across CIF Southern Section to receive this honor. Jack was honored and presented with his award at the September 26th Champions for Character Awards banquet in Long Beach. Jack is a student athlete who is a servant to others. He puts the needs of his teammates above his own and models those qualities in all that he does in the classroom and on the athletic field. Jack serves in the Best Buddies Club that works closely with our special needs students to connect them with a mentor or a buddy to help them feel valued and included on our campus. Jack's kindness to others is transcending and makes an impact on our campus by the way he respects and treats everyone. Jack is a stellar teammate and is the epitome of a team-first individual, demonstrating immense care for his teammates and often with a smile on his face. Congratulations, Jack, our CIF Champion for Character Award recipient.
Congratulations, this is one. Should we have a picture? They just want to stand up there. Okay, board members, would you like to say anything?
Oh, it looks like maybe Mr. Earl would like to.
Oh.
A quick introduction of his family.
Okay, great, thank you.
With me here tonight is my mother, Jamie Norrell, my father, Peter Norrell, and my little brother, Nick Norrell.
Mrs. Reuter?
I just, as I mentioned to Jack when he came up, you really represent the best of what Glendora Unified puts forward. To earn a character award on top of an athletic award really is a significant accomplishment. So thank you for going out there and representing the way you do. I enjoy watching you on Twitter and all the different camps you're going to right now and all the kicks that you're making. So congratulations. Enjoy this year, right? I know you're really focused on the future, but have a great time this year too. Congratulations.
Ms. Board?
Well, I echo everything Mrs. Reuter said, and one of the things I look for in any person beyond anything else is their character. So it makes me really proud that you're also a role model too for other people and other students around you. Adults too, who need some character building as well. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and congratulations, Mom and Dad and brother. So I know it starts at the top, and it starts when they're little. So thank you for all you do to encourage your kids to have fine character.
Dr. Fernando?
Play rugby, it's a great sport.
No pads.
Congratulations.
Mr. Ellenson?
Yeah, congratulations, Jack. This is a special award. Champions of Character is outstanding. Like we said, not just to be an athlete, but to conduct yourself in a way that's a model student and athlete to your peers. It's a fantastic recognition. So congratulations to you and your family. You should be very proud.
Thank you. And it is a great family. It's what I was thinking. You learned this from your parents. They model it. And so congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Norrell. Thank you. Okay, our next recognition is really exciting. Mrs. Pam Edward. Do you want to address that, Dr. Kelson?
Thank you. On behalf of our team, I would like to turn the microphone over to Dr. Brummett again to celebrate another esteemed member of the Glendora High School community, Dr. Brummett.
Thank you, Dr. Kelson. So this is a very exciting one for our whole community. I'm really excited to share some information about the competition and then about Miss Edward. The Los Angeles County Office of Education Teachers of the Year program is the largest local competition in the state and nation. The 16 Los Angeles County winning educators advanced with other county titleists from around the state to the California Teachers of the Year competition this fall, which Miss Edward is currently in that phase right now. Judged as the county's top public school teachers for the academic year, the 16 winning educators serve as standard bearers for the teaching profession and the 73,000 classroom colleagues countywide. Each winner received a cash gift of $1,000 from the California Credit Union. I don't know where she spent it yet. Actually, I do. New car, right? All right. And were announced as winners at the September 23rd LA County Teacher of the Year banquet in Universal City. The 16 were selected from a field of 66 teachers representing 62 school districts who participated in the 41st annual LA County Teachers of the Year competition, which is organized by LACO. All participants in the LA County Teacher of the Year program were recently selected as Teachers of the Year by their respective school districts. We are so proud to honor our very own Los Angeles County Teacher of the Year, Ms. Pamela Edward, who was recently selected as one of the county's 16 winners. Ms. Edwards serves admirably as a Glendora High School AP Government, AP Economics, and AP Capstone teacher, the Social Science Department Chair, the Senior Awards Committee Chair, WASC co-writer, and the California Scholarship Federation advisor. You could say she's involved on campus. I've seen her ability to connect with and build relationships with all of whom she encounters, and I can say with the utmost certainty that Miss Edward is a dynamic teacher and one of the most committed educators I've had the privilege of working with. More importantly, she's an incredible person that truly cares about all of our students. Congratulations, Miss Edward, LA County Teacher of the Year.
Okay, I'm gonna take the prerogative and I'm gonna talk first, because I don't usually get to. But I am so excited that you are the Teacher of the Year, the LA County. It is way cool. I know you had two of my kids. I know Kimmy, one of the boys, I think, I can't remember who they had, and I don't really expect you to remember. But at the luncheon, the LA County Teacher of the Year luncheon, I took Miss Edwards' picture and texted it to Kimmy, and she said, she looks exactly the same. And Kimmy's 31 now, so congratulations on that you're still teaching high school and you're still looking good. But I am thrilled. I just know that you'll continue on. So thank you for all that you have done for my kids personally. Okay, Mrs. Reuter.
Congratulations. This really is quite a recognition for an outstanding teacher. I have two high school students, and the buzz around town, if you will, that you get, and they're honest, right? If we know nothing else but about high schoolers, they are very honest, is your commitment to your kids and to meeting each of them individually and finding what's going to be successful with them and helping them accomplish that and succeed on to the next level after they leave your class. And that's amazing. That's really awesome. So thank you for your commitment to every single student, meeting every one of them exactly where they are and helping them be successful. Congratulations. Very well done.
Well, going third is tough too, because a lot of things are said already, but I just want to thank you for, obviously you're not just in the classroom, you're doing so much more for kids, and that means a lot too, because it's more than just the students in your class. So I appreciate that. Coming from the education world, I understand the commitment to grading papers and all of that, and then plus all the other commitments on top of that. It shows, again, fine character on your part. Thank you for all you do for our kids.
And I quote, Dad, Pam Pam watches blank on Netflix. So I think why I say that, even though it's kind of a funny thing, is that you meet students where they're at. And that's one of the things that when I talk to students about you and about the fact that you've achieved this award and received it, is that you really meet a student wherever they are at, not even academically, but also their social, emotional environment. You listen to them, you affirm them, you're empathetic towards their needs. I know many students come to you because they know that they're going to find a listening ear versus a judgmental ear. I think also you represent something to our students that means a lot. And I think you represent and embody something that's important for our students to see. Not just in terms of your character, but your background, who you are, the strength that you bring, the things that you have overcome. So thank you for the ways that you have served this district.
Yeah, and I'll just add, Ms. Edward, how many years have you been teaching? 32 years, and everything that my colleagues have just said, I think has been true for all 32 years, that every generation of students that I've ever encountered remembers you with the utmost respect and admiration as a fantastic teacher. That's an incredible career and a very, very well-deserved recognition. So thank you for being with Glendora.
By the way, did you know that Kimmy got her degree in political science?
See what you did there?
Yeah, got her started. Anyway, thank you so much. We would love to have y'all stay, but
We've got the PTA teacher.
oh gosh, that was thank you. That's why I have a vice president sitting next here. Okay, will you please? I'm now going like Vanessa, right? Will you please come up as our council PTA president and introduce our unit PTA presidents?
Yes. Good evening. I am Vanessa King. I am your Glendora Council PTA President. I would like to thank the board for inviting us here and allowing us to shine a light on our wonderful PTA leaders. We have our presidents here, some of them, some could not make it.
We do have them come up and stand beside you,
Yes,
please. Thank you.
absolutely. So we're going to start with our Cullen PTA President, Dulce Salinas. Our La Fetra PTA President, Stephanie Reisick. Our Goddard PTA President, Melissa Apodaca. Our Sandburg PTA President, Carolina Espitia. Our GHS PTA President, Stacy Dover. Our Whitcomb PTA President, Marianne Nichols. And our other two could not be here with us tonight, but I want to go ahead and announce who they are. Jen DeGraw with Sellers PTA, and three other ones, sorry. Diana Espinosa with Stanton, and Angie London with Sutherland. Our wonderful PTA leaders.
How do we usually do the picture? Are we going along the dais again? Yes,
Sure.
okay.
Don't leave yet, because people have something to say. I'll let them go first. Okay, I'm gonna start with Mr. Ellenson this time.
I just thank you to those of you for being here today, and pass along our gratitude to everyone else that works with you. I know the presidents represent the PTA Association for that school, but you have a lot of people on your executive board and all of your parent volunteers. So it takes a village, and please pass our gratitude on to everyone associated with Glendora Unified PTAs for everything you do, all the dollars you raise, the events that you put on. It's much appreciated and impacted around the district. So thank you.
Dr. Fernando? No, you have nothing? Okay. Mrs. Reuter?
I want to thank you all. It takes a lot of patience and organization to be the president of a PTA at a school site. I was never the president, but I always liked to help out wherever my kids were at the time. And the events and the items, the materials, the initiatives that you all fundraise for are really what a lot of the kids love coming to school for, right? You know, they're going to class, they're doing all of these things, but it's the extra, it's the over and above that PTAs provide for our students that really make a big difference and get kids more excited, let's say, for going to school. And let's face it, it's usually the parents that make things complicated sometimes, so organizing them and getting everybody to agree what theme the 5th grade dance is going to be this year and all of that kind of stuff takes a really special, committed person to our school district. So I really do want to thank you all, and I have a feeling that those that are in elementary are just starting, but I know those that are in the middle schools and the high schools have been doing it all the way through. And I really do want to acknowledge and appreciate the time that you've put in, not only for your own kids, who I know are thrilled to have their parents there, but for every student at your site. So thanks a lot. You really make a big difference in all of our students' lives.
Well, this is my first year actually to be on one of the executive boards of PTA, so I know a lot of texting, a lot of phone calls, a lot of work comes past your phone and your family life. It really is a dedicated position to have, and we do appreciate it, and so do the kids. I know walkathons and the money gathered up from that, you fund library things, you fund field trips. I don't know if the public understands that not the site budget doesn't cover it all. So your contributions, and actually all 5 of the board members are members of every single PTA in the district. So yay, we get to vote. Thank you, appreciate you all.
Well, and
My bad.
yeah, thank you for reminding me about them, but now trying to cut me off. PTA is, some of you know, is my love. I'm still involved PTA at Whitcomb. I've been president, I've been council president, so I've been there through all of it, and I know how much you do. I know that, especially I think elementary is so involved. It's like a full-time job practically. Although in my experience, having been treasurer 1 year at elementary, I would much rather be president. just throwing that out there. Yeah, my husband would rather that too. Not my thing. But thank you for all the work, and please again tell everyone at the schools what is going on. That we appreciate everything that they do. And Vanessa, 1 year I had it when I was council president. I had someone on our board made this huge check, and we took all the hours, and I can't remember how much it was now, but we took all the parent volunteer hours and multiplied it by, you know, a wage. It wasn't even, no, it wasn't minimum. We're worth way more than that. And presented a check to the district because it was worth so much money that we don't even account for. You know, you think, oh yeah, PTAs raise money. It is not a fundraising organization, we keep saying, but all of the hours that are dedicated and donated to the school add up, and they bring in more money and more good feelings than any of the fundraising that you do. So thank you, appreciate it very much.
Good job. Well said.
Okay, now we would love to have y'all stay, as I was saying, but if you want to go, we totally get it. So we will, are you going to stay or leave? Because if you're going to leave, I'm going to suspend the meeting for like 2 minutes.
Looks like they're gonna get up.
Yeah, they're going.
Yeah.
See ya. Thank you so much. We really are glad you were here. Thank you.
Congratulations, everybody.
Oh, and did we mention that Marianne Nichols is also the CSEA president? So she has nothing else going on. Would it be wrong to announce that Wickham has scheduled the
Ladies' night out.
yes, for February 24th, Kimmy's birthday, but whatever. Yeah, we're just kind of in the. Yes, we have a great committee. Oh, good. Yeah, spread the word. It's going to fill up, and the tickets are going to sell fast.
It's a lot of fun.
It is
It's
so
a fun
much fun.
event.
Have you been? Mm-hmm. I didn't.
When you were in that costume, that inflatable costume,
Oh, gosh.
wandering around, yeah, I was there for that. Uh-huh.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, one year there was a picture that was on the board up here.
Of you in that costume.
Yeah, from Williams. I was younger. Okay. Okay, well, now I believe I'm not going to make the statement. We only have 2 comments, 2 cards. So I will start with Jonathan Lane. Will you please come up? And then next will be Jean Lopez.
Good evening, my name is Jonathan Lane. I'm here asking the board to add COVID vaccination status to the non-discrimination policy for students and staff. Now, I realize this may go against the current California School Board Association recommendations, but if you truly mean the phrase putting students first, you will take immediate action to revise this policy. I'm asking this because in July of 2023, Governor Newsom will mandate the COVID vaccine for all students in order to attend school. By adding this to the policy, this would ensure that all of our kids will actually be able to attend school in the classroom, where they should be no matter their vaccination status. Contrary to Newsom's mandate, even the CDC believes we are all equal. No child should be denied the right to attend school, right? Here's what concerns me, though. In the past 2.5 years, you've already shown us that you've consistently discriminated against students and staff. When an unvaccinated student was exposed to someone who tested positive in the classroom, you kept the unvaccinated student home for 10 days, but the vaccinated student could continue to attend class. Where's the equity in that, man? Where? I witnessed kids just devastated who were denied their rights to attend high school within the first week of being back in school. Their freshman year, the beginning of it, taken from them, parents, friends, who watched their kids go down the spiral of depression due to online learning, and you did nothing for them. Quite simply, you discriminated against so many kids in this district, it's truly unforgivable. When I stood here at this podium last year asking you to go above and beyond LA County's guidelines to test all the teachers, you didn't just do anything. You did nothing. It was discrimination solely against unvaccinated teachers, knowing full well both could spread it. The community also needs to know you did nothing in opposition to the county mandates. No letter to them. I'm sorry, when a large group of parents came to a board meeting last year in favor of mass choice, you did nothing. Instead, you supported the mandates. By the way, District 2 candidate Monica Garcia fully supported mask mandates, which also leads me to believe she'll definitely support a vaccine mandate too. This community needs to know that you've been discriminating against students and staff. They also need to know that you did nothing in opposition to county mandates. No letter, nothing. Just, we will follow the guidelines. All we really wanted was just some kind of action. We got nothing, all at our kids' expense. Mr. Ellenson, Mr. Fernando, thank you for not running again. We appreciate it. We really do. For the rest of you, I'm not going to forget about it when I go to vote next month, and I hope our community doesn't either.
Hello, my name is Gene Lopez, and I am a member of the Community Committee on Ethnic Studies. And tonight I'd like, because of a meeting ago, a request is to hear about what's going on in our committee, and so I thought I'd share some of those minutes with you. So we began on March 24th, 2022. In this room from 6:30 to 7:30, we had introductions, and we brainstormed, and we looked at taking an apolitical stance within the committee. We also wanted to be respectful, and we wanted to be sure that confidentiality and transparency were also a part of these meetings. There was a brief overview on the committee's purpose, and the committee members offered a number of points for consideration. A couple of those is wanting to know more about standards, about how standards and curriculum differ, wanting to talk more about how people view situations differently based on their life story and or out of respect for it. We also took a look at what we might be participating in the next meeting, which was May the 3rd. On May the 3rd, at the same location, we took a look at reviewing what we talked about on March 24th, and we had the guidelines for participation, we had an overview of the committee's purpose, and a discussion on Ethics Studies Model Curriculum Chapter 3. And we also took some of the norms that were going to take place in our meeting, and one of those was that we share email addresses. But after discussion, the best solution for intergroup communication is to use a shared Google document or folder, and that's what we're doing there. In our next, well, we had a potential June 14th meeting, but that didn't take place. So our latest meeting is September 22nd, just a couple of weeks ago. We had 11 members present, and one of those members who were present is part of the student committee. And we also learned that the high school student committee on ethnic studies was set to meet, so that was good to hear. Dr. DeGrazia was there to introduce the meeting, or begin the meeting. We had a reminder about the guidelines for participation, so that might have been pointed toward me like, Lopez, just kidding. We had a review on the Minds of Many. It's a curriculum document that was created by Glendora Unified School District, and it demonstrates the state law related to high school graduation requirements. We also took a look at some resource sharing, and this is pretty cool stuff. We had Shimamanda Ngozi Adichie's TED Talk on the danger of a single story. Go take a look at that. It's a great 18. Oh, no way. One last thing, because this is important. A toolkit developed by the Los Angeles County Office of Education on ethnic studies is really important that all of us take a look at. And Dr. Kelson can share that document with us. Thanks for your time. Yeah.
I should put that by you so you just lean over and touch it. Okay. Lavina, are you ready? Also, if you want to make comments about any, like I didn't ask you for Mrs. Edward, you could. You can just get my attention.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Lavina Chen, and I will be reporting on the following schools today: Stanton Elementary, Sutherland Elementary, Cullen Elementary, Sandburg Middle School, and Glendora High School. To start off, I will begin with Stanton Elementary. Stanton Elementary kicked off October with an all-school prize-winning book fair. Students stopped in with their classes during lunch, recess, and after school with parents. The school site council also had their first successful meeting. Stanton participated in a successful safety drill focusing on lockdown and lockout procedures. Stanton held their first Spirit Assembly on Friday, October 7th, and celebrated AR winners of the month. This month, Stanton is focusing on the character trait of responsibility. Stanton is looking forward to this Wednesday as they will participate in Walk to School Day and wear blue for Anti-Bullying Day. Stanton PTA has been busy planning events such as PTA Yoga and Meet in the Quad on October 14th for all families. Stanton has planned themed dress-up days for Red Ribbon Week where they will participate to stand together, honor, and celebrate their stance against drugs. Stanton is looking forward to inviting parents on campus for a Halloween parade and after-school trick-or-treating in the classrooms. Now, Sutherland Elementary. October is a busy month here at Sutherland. Sutherland held their first Student of the Month Assembly of the year. Students received awards for academic achievement and demonstrating the character trait focus of the month, respect. This month, Sutherland will participate in Walk to School Day and Anti-Bullying Day, both on October 12th. They have taken inventory of emergency supplies and backpacks in preparation for the Great Shakeout later this month. The Safety Committee is also reviewing the emergency plans and procedures for the shakeout. PTA is working hard on preparations for Red Ribbon Week, and Sutherland will have themed dress-up days to show their unity against drugs. Now, Cullen Elementary. Cullen will be focusing on self-control this month. Their motto is, I can't control everything, but I can control my thoughts, my words, my actions. Students are encouraged to choose an attitude of self-control so they are able to make better choices. Cullen's PTA drive is wrapping up and they have received a larger number of participation compared to last year. Walk to School Day will be on October 12th. PTA will be passing out small trinkets to the students that walk to school that day. The Onaha Unity Move-a-thon fundraiser is off to a great start. Students are excited to get moving. The Move-a-thon will be on October 21st, and Red Ribbon Week will be headed up by their SSS during the week of October 24th through the 28th. PTA will also host a trunk or treat on October 28th along with a movie played out on their field. Families will be encouraged to bring a picnic dinner to enjoy with friends. Parents and teachers are excited for the return of the Parade with the Purpose on October 31st, in which students will stroll around campus to show their fun Halloween costumes. This will be an opportunity for the Cullen students to donate canned and packaged goods to local food pantries. Now, Sandburg Middle School. Sandburg welcomed their newest staff member, Mr. Marcus Ceballos, who will be teaching 6th grade's ancient civilization and 7th grade world history. Welcome, Mr. Ceballos. Avid students were engaged on October 6th after school in an Avid t-shirt tie-dye party. This was a great event for all staff and students. Sandburg's Avid is getting ready for a wonderful field trip to Cal Poly Pomona on Tuesday, October 18th. At Sandburg, every Thursday is College Day, where staff and students wear their college apparel. Mr. Acevito's students were treated to a wonderful field trip to Citrus College on Friday, October 7th. The students were extremely excited and enjoyed the visit. Wednesday, October 12th is National Anti-Bullying Day. Everyone is encouraged to wear blue to show their support and participation. Those students wearing blue will receive a treat for participating. Sandburg is preparing for the California Great Shakeout on Thursday, October 20th. Sandburg will participate in Red Ribbon Week as well on October 24th to the 28th. There will be an assembly hosted by Campville on Tuesday, October 25th. The Spartans will have its annual Harvest Dance in Haunted House on Friday, October 28th after school. Sandburg would like to thank their wonderful PTA for all their support. And lastly, Glendora High School. Since the last board meeting, Glendora High has been extremely busy. GHS held the annual Senior Luau event on September 17th, where all seniors were welcome to attend to swim with their fellow classmates, watch a belly flop competition, and eat pizza or enjoy dessert from the Kona Ice Truck. GHS would like to shout out their PTA, who assembled and donated over 100 fruit kebabs for the event as well. Right after the weekend, GHS was gearing up for their homecoming week. To set the tone of homecoming, ASB hosted a Spirit Week competition, which created a united atmosphere with a hint of rivalry that steered one of the most participated Spirit Weeks ever at GHS. We also had our homecoming assembly, which students enjoyed as there were student games, teacher games, a dance, and the reveal of our homecoming king, Casey Gerber. Then later in the afternoon, ASB organized the parade that went through downtown Glendora. It was packed as members of our community came together to see our GHS football team, homecoming princesses, class floats, PEP, GHS supporters, district and community dignitaries, and many more walk through the parade. The festivities continued that night with our homecoming game, which was our highest attendance so far this season. The homecoming queen, Harika Chamada, was crowned at halftime, and our varsity football team took home a big win. Saturday was the last of our homecoming events as ASB hosted our homecoming dance on our GHS campus. With 1,497 students in attendance, it is the largest attended dance event in our school's history. It was a fabulous night with lots of activities. Most of all, our many teachers and admin team made sure the event was safe. After homecoming, things have calmed down a bit to a normal pace at Glendora High. On October 6th, ASB hosted a boba day as a student store special, and we sold out of all 300 drinks. The following day, October 7th, GHS hosted our annual Powder Puff competition at Louis Pompey Park, where the junior and senior girls went head-to-head in flag football. It was a fun night, well attended by students and the community. Thank you to the Glendora Parks and Rec team for the easy access to the field for our event. This week on Wednesday, our Latinos, Unidos, and Mariachi clubs will host Hispanic Heritage Day and have activities planned during tutorial and lunch. ASB is also preparing for Red Ribbon Week, and at Orchestra's Spooktacular event on October 28th, ASB will be hosting a free trunk or treat for families that attend. Show Choir will be hosting a barbecue dinner and performance on October 15th in the Event Center to raise funding for their program. Band won first place in Marching Band, second in Drum Major, second in Drill T, second auxiliary at the Placenta Street competition last week. Fall sports are still going, and we are ecstatic with how well our programs are doing.
Good job, Lavina. That was a lot. Thank you. I'd made myself a note to ask if there were any additional speaker. Mrs. Jarvie, did you want to speak? Okay. Come on up. After you finish, would you please fill out a comment card and give it to Mrs. Cornelius? Thank you.
Thank you for remembering about asking for additional speakers. My name is Wendy Jarvie, and I also am on the, well, Jean's gone. I'm on the community committee for ethnic studies, and I've had some communication with the district about a couple of concerns that I had with the group, and we discussed them at our last committee meeting. One that I would like to share now is that, and it didn't dawn on me until after our meeting, so I would have brought it up then, but there are committee members that are not willing to put their name out in public. I don't know for what reason, and it's not for me to judge, but the community, I think, deserves to know, like, what's going on in the community committee, and who is representing the community in reviewing the ethnic studies. I, for one, don't want to be part of a committee that is seen as a clandestine operation to inject ideologies or theologies that have been red flagged by myself and others. So I've sent to Dr. DeGrazia a few highlights from the model curriculum where I've seen red flags that others in the community have as well. I know, Ms. Borg, that you've read chapter 3 and you've said that you've acknowledged that there is CRT in the ethnic studies model curriculum. And your justification is that it's just a teaching pedagogy. I don't know how that's pronounced, but anyway, no, it's throughout. It's in the lesson plans and in the guiding principles, and I will forward you the citations that I have found. And I don't want this committee to be used as an activist project. I am here for my community, and I want to represent it well in the light of day, which is why I'm always willing to put my name on anything that I stand behind. And for whatever reason that the others have that don't want their names published as representing the community, they may want to consider stepping down, because the diminished trust and transparency over the last couple of years it can't continue. And so I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Jarvie. Go ahead. Is there anyone else? Okay. And Mrs. Jarvie, you'll remember to fill out a comment card for, thank you. Okay, it's time for comments from the members of the Board of Education. We're just gonna start with Ms. Borg and go down this time.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley. I just wanted to share that I was very honored to attend the Goddard Awards Luncheon last week. This is something that the teachers put on. It's teacher's choice. It's not always an academic piece where they're getting excellent grades, but they're there because of their character and their contributions to the school. And it's a nice little luncheon. They have first lunch and second lunch, and our PTA moms help put it on, and a principal shows up, and their teachers actually write a nice little piece about them, a couple of sentences about the students, and share that in front of their peers. And it's just a really nice afternoon to spend with the kids, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. I also wanted to bring up that, and I have to admit that I didn't realize that our board docs, which is the online piece of our agenda, allows us to, I mean, it's interactive. I knew that for my part as a board member, I knew the parts, but I didn't realize all the pieces that were interactive. And in the upper right-hand corner, it lists the board goals, but if you click on that, it also hands you the strategic initiatives. And I just wanted to bore you to death, and I'm going to read you the goal. Our very first goal in this district is student achievement. Prepares students for career and college readiness, ensuring that every student is challenged to successfully access rigorous curricula and 21st century learning strategies that lead to tangible post-secondary outcomes. And then it says there, please click on the left side, and it's going to give you the strategic initiatives. The first 1.1, emphasize teaching such 21st century skills as communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking across the curriculum, which supports the achievement of college-level rigor and career readiness for every student. Ensure the achievement of 21st century skills for every child through equitable distribution of resources, fiscal, human, and time. 1.3, provide a coherent, multi-tiered system of support that focuses on academic, behavioral, and social emotional success for all students, including English learners, students with disabilities, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, gifted and talented, and other targeted subgroups to close the achievement, opportunity, and access gaps to meet high expectations. Those are the first three. There are 7 of them. But I also noticed that every presentation that's given is connected to either the strategic goal or one of its initiatives. And you can see that tonight there's a September 26th date, 2 dates, 3 dates there. And I believe I saw October 10th on here too. So all the presentations that we are providing you as the public are all connected to our strategic goals. And that's just goal 1, and I'll read another one next time I'm up here. Thank you.
Mrs. Reuter, we're just going down the line this time.
Okey doke. What I understand here is that there are several things that Glendora Unified continue to do as far as the COVID-19 virus is concerned. I believe that Dr. DeGrazia, at least, if not extended members of cabinet, are still participating with weekly phone calls with Dr. Frere and Dr. Gilchek at the LA County Department of Public Health. And it's my understanding that they're not only talking about COVID, but they'll be talking about any sort of infectious diseases as well. Those phone calls are ongoing. I do know that Dr. DeGrazia did sign a letter. It's been probably a month ago now, let's say, where he and 60 superintendents I would say, were requesting that the LA County Department of Public Health align their standards to state standards so that you just have standardization across. It gets a little challenging for us this way. So aligning standards together as far as COVID protocols are concerned. It's been maybe a few weeks now, but we have had and continue to have the free COVID test disbursement. So I bet we've had close to 10 anyway, different pickups for free COVID tests through Glendora Unified School District. I will remind everybody that even if your COVID tests do say that they're out of date on the box, the CDC extended, CDC is the right body.
Yes, and there's actually, if you put your, depending on the maker,
You put your lot in.
put your lot in, it'll tell you when the expiration.
Okay, just to
All
put,
of ours will go as far as January.
okay, all right, great. And then this one I'm not positive about. I know that we've had the completely voluntary vaccination center that we really were working with a lot of our employees and community members with. Are we still giving vaccinations at this time? So through the nurse's office, if people are looking for boosters, et cetera, they're still able to make an appointment through their nurse's office
They
and
have
get.
certain dates that they do, yes.
Okay, all right. So I would suspect the high school is probably the most, or Williams? Where do you think the most likely site that somebody would be, how would they access that information, I guess is what I'm
So I
asking.
know there was a vaccination clinic today,
Okay.
for our
During
employees.
professional development? Mhm.
Correct, and that was, I believe, hosted over at the high school.
Okay,
The location can change
Mm-hmm.
depending on where the need is and where the location is. So watch for announcements.
okay. All right, thank you. So we do continue to realize that we are not out of the pandemic, and to stay current and up to date on all of the information that we might be able to have to help support all of our staff and students continuing through. So is that the gist? Okie dokie. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you very much.
Dr. Fernando.
Thank you. So one of the things I was able to do recently was meet with some members of the Tartan Shield, who have been recently conducting a survey, gathering community input relating to a number of things. And so one of the things that these students were experiencing, if I can use the word devastating, was the gap that they saw in the survey responses between people that are their age and individuals that are so-called representing the community. And so they were having a conversation with me about how they, as high school students, see the world, see the future of Glendora, what are their perspectives on the various things that have been such of a concern here at this board meeting relating to issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how to potentially bridge that gap between the generations, because they come at it at a different starting point, given who they are, given the national trends of Generation Z. This is not just particular to Glendora. So we talked about that. We also talked about, which was a very helpful conversation, about what leadership is, and what is leadership in the midst of when you face conflict, right? What does leadership look like? What does character look like when somebody's yelling at you or talking with bravado and rhetoric without facts? And how do you as a leader respond with grace and class even when individuals, they may be educated or uneducated, do not have the ability to do so? That as leaders in the high school, that they still have the opportunity in classroom environments when contentious issues come up to model respect and civility, even sometimes when they don't see it being done by us adults or us people that are so-called older. And so that was a good lesson for me to learn to sit, to learn from them, strategies that they have used, strategies that they're concerned about as they have observed public meetings both here and at the city, and how they're greatly disturbed but also disgusted with the ways that some of their own community members are representing this city. So we had a very vibrant discussion. It was also an opportunity for them to understand the differences between what a school board does and what this district administration does. And that was also a very, very helpful process for them. And they saw the differences in terms of scope and responsibility of a board member versus the scope and responsibility of the superintendent and the cabinet. So much so that they actually read the school board, California School Board Association's description, of which they would recommend everybody, they take their survey to spend the time reviewing. So this was a real, I think, lesson for me as a member of this community in terms of the assets, the talents that we have here in Glendora in our youth specifically, and the work that they are doing via the Tartan Shield to get the voice of the community out, but also a larger issue that we have to deal with in the schools and in the classrooms, that there is a significant gap in where our students are and how they view the world versus how maybe parents do. And that is a gap that I think every community is struggling with. We have to contextualize it and understand it in our own way, and that is probably a challenge as we move forward. So they were indeed devastated. They were concerned about views of equity. They were concerned about issues of discrimination. When they were talking about issues of discrimination, it wasn't related to vaccination requirements. It was related to people that were dying because they were trying to cross the border from Venezuela. That was what they were focusing on. So it was a helpful reminder of how our students view not just Glendora, but also the world and how world issues are important to them. And it helped me to get out of my own little world and start reading the news and get educated on things that were happening. So it was a very productive meeting because, again, I continue to see the strength of our students and what they can teach us if we listen to them. And I actually look forward to what our student committee will share with us in the ethnic studies curriculum, because I think that will be a very potent but also very nuanced understanding of the curriculum that I think some members of our community do not seem to possess. So there's that. I also want to finally end my comments off with learning loss. This is a real issue that we are seeing in our schools. This is a real issue that we're seeing in classrooms where students have not been able to keep up from a developmental perspective, but also from an intellectual perspective on the various subjects. And this is making, it is creating an environment for our teachers that is incredibly challenging. So I just want to, again, thank our classified staff, our teachers, whoever works here at the district, for the ways that they're going above and beyond to respond to this learning loss. Because it is not something that is just for certain types of students. Even students that are so-called AP range students are experiencing student loss. And I can just give an example. We had 34 to 38 people signed up in our AP biology class. 4 weeks later, we have 21. Why is that? Because of the learning loss that has occurred over the last year. And these are AP biology students. These are some of our most, in quotes, brightest students. Okay? So this is not just for students that were struggling, in quotes. All students are experiencing learning loss, and I just commend and I want to encourage our teachers who are experiencing that dynamic, that reality, that is a very challenging thing to do as an instructor, to teach what you're having in front of you that's required by the state, in addition to respond to curriculum that wasn't able to be handled effectively, not because of the strength of our students or the teachers, but because of the modality, the form by which it was taught, as some disciplines are very hard to teach on Zoom. So I want to again thank the work that our district employees are doing this year. That's it.
Thank you. I don't really have anything else to add either. Sorry, I have allergies. I'm not sick, just in case you're wondering.
Sure, Robert.
Yeah, I took a COVID test yesterday.
Okay, good.
It was negative. Okay, so as Dr. DeGrazia is ill and unable to attend this evening's meeting. He asked if I would share his superintendent's report. So today's Professional Development Day kicked off with our keynote speaker, Katie Brackenridge, and was a successful day of collaborative learning. Special thanks to Dr. Kelston and Dr. Prince for putting together our day, and kudos to many of our GUSD staff members who led breakout sessions. I usually like to attend, but I've been on grandparent duty forever, it feels like. And so I was out of town. In a few minutes, we are also looking forward to hearing from Adam Bauer from Fieldman, Rowlap and Associates, a financial advising group, who will update us on our continuous focus of being good stewards of our financial resources here in GUSD. With an emphasis on safety, we wanted to remind everyone that GUSD will once again participate in the Great Shakeout, taking place October 20th at 10:20 a.m. This will allow for all sites to engage in thoughtful drills and preparation in the event of an earthquake. On Wednesday, October 12th, GUSD sites, in partnership with the Glendora Police Department, encourage all interested students and staff to participate in California's annual walk or bike/roll to school event. Let us all practice an additional caution on this day, as our crosswalks, streets, and sidewalks may be a bit more impacted than on other school days. As a follow-up to their well-deserved recognition earlier this evening, thank you to the dedicated team of PTA presidents and their PTA council president, Vanessa King, as it is their collective leadership and deep commitment to our families and schools that allow endless opportunities for our students. Finally, as our community, Mrs. Jarvie, you might want to stay for this one. Okay. Finally, as our community committee on ethnic studies continues to meet as a group, Dr. Kelson will give a brief update as to their work together.
Thank you, and my thanks to Dr. DeGrazia for the opportunity to speak to this briefly. The Community Committee on Ethnic Studies recap that Mr. Lopez provided earlier was very thorough and accurate. I would just add a couple of key details. We had a number of people who initially applied, as this body may remember. Everyone who applied was granted a presentation and an interview time. And everyone who completed both of those portions of the application process was granted a spot. The membership includes a high school student representative at this time, and once the middle school student group is formed, I suppose we may add a middle school liaison to update not only the community committee, but to update the middle school group or groups as they want to know what the community committee is working on. This is an important part of the work that we're doing in Glendora Unified and in the state of California. It's also an interesting marriage, if you will, between the law, which is Assembly Bill 101, the State Board of Education and their work to guide the model curriculum standards development, which they had previously established, and the California Department of Education, which is responsible for interpreting the law. There's a fourth highly influential body involved in the work of the Ethnic Studies course, which is the University of California Office of the President. They are the group that decides what a course that is submitted to them for consideration will count as in a student's high school course taking experience. Even though there are districts that have been offering ethnic studies for a while, and there are many, many different course outlines that the community committee hasn't been asked to read in their assigned readings thus far, the discussion about what those courses will mean for our high school students, probably by the time our Glendora kids get there, they're middle school students now, once they get to high school. It will be a little bit of an ongoing dialogue. So with that said, the committee is engaged, they're passionate, they are learning and working together. I heard one of the many resources that were shared by members mentioned earlier this evening, and I'm pleased to see how the committee is really interacting with the requirements written in law and policy way over Glendora's head. We're responsible for implementing it in partnership with our teachers. and ensuring that our students are prepared to meet the requirements set forth by the legislature and the State Board of Ed. So our next meeting is, I believe, on the 19th, and it will be in this room. And then I have some additional dates slated. I would like to wait to announce those until we see a little bit more of what the landscape is going to look like in Sacramento. So thank you for the opportunity to share a little information.
If I could just have a quick follow-up question. I know that one of the subsequent committees to the community committee and the student committee that we've heard about this evening is the teacher committee. Can you talk about when the teacher committee will begin their work?
I sure can. So my team this year, with the resources we have, is focusing on the first two priorities that our staff has given us in professional development steering. The third priority would be beginning the work of looking at the curriculum for ethnic studies. Our first two are connected to the multi-tiered systems of support and whole child work, which was a great focus of our professional development day today. Our second major project is the review and eventual adoption of science textbooks. Being able to revisit that work that Glendora started before the pandemic and bringing teams of teachers together to do that. We're also supporting, of course, other work as we go along, but when you think about a committee of teachers from, at minimum, the high school, potentially going to middle and elementary, to really get together and study what the ethnic studies course will be about. It's going to require a large team. I envision history, social science, English language arts teachers, and we do have some elementary teachers because of the current California history, social science standards and how there is crossover to their current work, especially when you think about some of the world history and civilizations that are part of their standards who are interested in participating. So I have promised our cabinet that I will be writing a draft of a backwards map for basically this. If we need to be ready to launch the ethnic studies course in really students who are graduating in 2030 must have the opportunity to take a course to meet the requirement. So I will be creating a plan if we're going to meet that deadline for our students, what do we need to accomplish between now and then in order to honor the requirements that are set forth for our students? So not to worry, teacher committee's coming soon.
Well, and just to reiterate your point, you're right on time. Yeah, you are keeping a very close eye on the requirements and the deadlines and working backwards from there. So I know it's a hot topic, but I know that we really need to adopt those science standards that have been put off for several years. So thank you for that update.
And thank you. And will you involve Wickham, a Wickham teacher?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We will probably take interest from people in the initial planning, and then if it is a high school graduation requirement, people who are going to teach the course will have to learn it and receive support and time to collaborate with other teachers who are teaching it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, we're at staff presentations, and Mrs. Vicar is our bond overview and credit rating, Feldman Rowlap and Associates, Inc., presented by Business Services and Adam Bauer.
Good evening. So nice to be here with you this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Adam Bauer. Adam is the Chief Executive Officer for Feldman Rowlap and Associates. And I've asked him to come and speak with all of you this evening to tell you and the community about where we're at with our bonds, our credit ratings, and to be for full transparency to make sure that the community is fully aware of the great job that has been done over the past years in managing the bonds. And so with that.
Great, good evening and thank you. And so once again, my name is Adam Bauer and it's good to be before you this evening. If we can go to the next slide, please. We start off with just giving you a bit about our firm. This is the first time I'm in front of you. I wanted to give you a little bit, like I said, about the firm. And then we get into the district overview, some of the related to your debt program. And then finally, we really dive into some of the details of that, and then just give you some overview and next steps as we go. So hopefully keep it pretty brief. So on our first slide here, our firm has been in business since 1966. We pride ourselves on what we call the EIS, Experience, Integrity, and Service. We've been doing this a long time as a group. Like I said, we started in 1966. We're based in Southern California. We have an office in San Francisco, and then an employee in Hawaii and another one in Washington. So really focused on that western region, but most of it's in California. Integrity, we believe that we tell our clients when not to do things. We think that's a real defining feature versus always just moving forward, but that's a real source of pride for us. Service, we'll really focus on that in the next slide. We pride ourselves on the 80-20 approach, where we look to say what is predictable about what you're going to do, and we focus on that. And then on the other 20%, we're able to customize as circumstances change, or you need more tailored analysis along the way. But by having that foundation set ahead of time, we're able to be there. I'm able to be here more frequently in front of you. I'm also supported by 17 people at the district. 2 of them are working on this project with me, and they're typically at the office, and I'm typically out visiting clients. But now that's enough about Fieldman. Unless you have any questions, we'll get into the district. You were just a little bit older than Fieldman Roll-Up and Associates by about 5 years, like 1961. And you have 2 GeoBond measures there since 2000. And you can see there we have some of the details there. Your tax rate for fiscal year 21-22 is at $69.84 per 100,000. And then you can see there the one in November 17. Oftentimes odd years are a little bit more difficult than even years or presidential cycles to pass GeoBonds, but you can see that one did not pass there. But you do have the other measures that have, and I'll get more to details of those. On slide 6, we get into the district's credit ratings. And some of the credit strengths that are listed are your size and your growing residential tax base. Your wealth factors are above average. That's one of the key factors, because that's really what goes to repay the bonds, is that tax base. And then the rating agencies have identified adequate reserve levels. Not all districts get that, so I think that's a good distinction that you have there. Some difficult items, and these are really ones difficult for you to control, are declining enrollment. And we're seeing this throughout the state of California, but that's certainly a factor they look at as they evaluate ratings. And then above average pension liability, and this is something that you can work on over time, but many districts are in your situation where you're doing kind of mostly pay as you go, but that's something that they had noted in the reports. But all that ends up in, if you can see there's some tranching here. AAA is the best, and very few school districts get that. You have very little control of your revenue, and you're limited in your ability to make changes on the expense side of things. Payroll is your biggest expense, and you have some real limitations there. And also, for most districts, the money flows through the state, so the state can intercept that money, and they've proven to us in the Great Recession, and they've proven to us during COVID, they will do it. Right, when you heard deferrals, that's that state intercept. They are not giving you their money when they said, or when they typically would. And so that's a credit challenge for school districts, because you have that intercept there. But you see this next category is AA, and they have 3 different notching there: plus, flat, minus. Then you have single A that has the same type of notations. You are in that AA category. Most districts are within the category above you and 2 below you. And if you capture that, you have 80% of the districts. And so you are in that upper tier of districts by being that AA category. Now, for about the last 15, 20 years, that didn't matter all that much, because the credit spread, the difference between a AA interest rate and a single A interest rate, was very small. But now, as interest rates have risen, and you've all heard about it, what also happens is investors typically require more for lower rated districts or lower ratings than others. And so now that AA category that you have will help you more than it has previously. So that's a positive going forward. So now if we get to the next section, we have a transition page there, but we get to your summary of your outstanding bonds. And one thing that we like to focus on is that far right, that it says next call date. What next call date really means is this is when you're able to prepay these bonds or refinance them. So when we all do a home mortgage, there's really no limitation on us. If rates drop enough, you can come back, refinance them, and you kind of just keep doing that over and over until you get to the lowest point or sell your home and move on. Whereas when investors are lining, or an underwriter is lining millions of dollars versus our houses, they have to get a lot of different people to invest, and those investors oftentimes hedge their investments. So they don't want to have us taking the bonds away 2 months later, right? So what's typical in our industry is to have a 10-year period where you can't call the bonds. And so that's what that's identifying there, is that when these bonds are callable. But your district has been able to manage refinancing those on a pretty regular basis. As you notice, none of those are real soon. The next one is 2025. And so what this means is that for this, the district gets no benefit to this. It's only the taxpayers. So on behalf of the taxpayers, the district has refinanced this debt and made sure that the amount that ends up on the tax bill is the lowest it can be. And so I think that's a positive. The next one to monitor is this one, 8/1/2025. And so if rates continue to go up between now and 2024, and wherever the economy starts to turn, and then rates decline, you could be in an attractive position to refinance this 2025. Now, everyone's crystal balls have cracked, so I'm not saying that's going to be the case. It's just something to monitor, and sometime around May, the district staff would likely have some sort of presentation to say either it works or it doesn't work at this point in time. So next slide here is we look at your 2000 election. And this chart, first of all, your voters supported you in a big way at 66.67 there. That wasn't your voter approval, that was your Prop 46 authorization, which very few districts actually do that. Most go for the 55% approval, but you were able to accomplish that. You have two series of bonds outstanding, and you can see on the far left there, that's the tax rate per 100,000. And these are outstanding between 2022 and 2027. So this one is close to being done. Not much to do here besides monitor that. On the next slide, on slide 10, this is your 2005 election. And on this one, you did do that lower threshold bond measure of 55%, but you had 63.1% come out and support it. So still a very high support level. And then on this one, you can see tax rate to the far left, and then you can see that these bonds mature between now and 2039, and you can see you're well below that $60 per $100,000 tax rate. And so I think this one has you once again positioned very well for making sure that you've really delivered for the taxpayers and not overburden them. On our next slide, we try to pull all this together, and we take the two measures and we put them on one chart, and you can see there between 2022 and 2030, you have the purplish and blue, and then to the far right there, all you have is that series 2005 that remains outstanding. And so once again, this is an aggregate of both measures. To the far right there, we're trying to show you is the consistency of your tax rate, and oftentimes this is right about the same number. But in your situation, you've had it actually decline from some of those early years. So your taxpayers on a per $100,000 basis are seeing a lower tax rate than they saw before. So certainly another positive for your tax base. So now if we go on to some next steps as a district looks for options, one of the things that our team did this morning was we actually updated your continued disclosure so that you have all your appropriate filings. And so that was done as of this morning. And then you can, one of the things that's out there is, and this is unrelated to GeoBonds right now, is managing that solar project and kind of what is the best option going forward. We've looked at a number of scenarios, and we can continue to do that. And then also the district's undertaking steps to analyze state funding and any other federal funding to make sure you've maximized those as you continue to look forward. So that summarizes the material we have before you, but I think both district staff and I'm available for any other questions.
Thank you very much. Are there, what? Oh, start with that end.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay. Dr. Fernando?
Forgive my naivety. Do you have to, does Fitch rate geobonds at all?
Yes, sir.
So are we rated under them as well, or no?
So there's three credit ratings, or there's three primary credit rating agencies, and Fitch is the one missing from this chart.
Okay.
And a district of your size would be very unlikely to get all three. And so when we look up at a bond or a series of bonds, and we know that there's a cost every time you do this. And and they don't give a discount because you have two, right? So you're gonna pay full freight each time you do this. So if you had less than a $40 million transaction, the extra benefit of having two ratings probably doesn't really pay for itself. But if you have an $80 million transaction, then you likely want to get two for it. And so in this case, engaging that third rating agency, the district has not done that. So you do not have an active Fitch rating right now. And the ratings that you have are both on the same level. So there's not one that's looking at you a different way. So it's unlikely that a third one would come in and say, we'll give the district a higher rating than these other two. So I think maintaining a two is the right course of action for now.
Okay.
And we can evaluate that whenever there is a next series of bonds outstanding or to be issued.
Okay. So my experience is not in public, it's more in private. And so when bonds are called up, typically you have to do presentations, before Moody's and whatnot about the health of the institution.
That's correct.
Is that going to happen in 2025 based on the call-ups, or is that not something that we do, or what does that look like for a school district?
The things have changed a bit with the pandemic. It used to be a long time ago, it used to be a flight to New York. Then up until the pandemic, it was a flight to San Francisco. And now they're almost all done Zoom. The rating agency analysts they're in pretty urban areas, and many of them have not returned to the office. And so it's done almost all through Zoom, but we prepare about a 40-page presentation, work through with district staff, and then, yes, we do that presentation. It takes somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes that you go through that with them.
Okay. And I noticed, actually, I didn't know these figures, that there was a voter approval at 66 and 63. We tried for a measure in 2017 that did not pass. Does your firm do analysis of prospective bonds of similar school districts our size as to what that might be, or is that not what you do? You're more on the back end.
So we can pull the data for who's been successful and who hasn't been. But when you actually get into the bond measure, you have to be very careful about the division of labor. Okay. And I actually signed something with the state saying there's only certain things that I will do. And so there'll be other team members involved that will give more precision to that. Okay. And you would need to, that we're pretty far away from looking at anything like that.
Okay. I guess the last question, and maybe this is not something that can be answered. Thank you for the description of the tranches, and you're saying that a large majority of districts are AA2AA, or AA3, or AA1. Was that correct? That 80% of the districts fall in those three categories?
So a little bit lower than that. So
Okay.
The A minus to the A, double A.
Okay.
And you're kind of on a higher tier of that.
Okay. So is there a way for us to move, or what ways are there available to us that we can move to a double A?
They're very difficult.
Okay.
But they're listed there to the right. Stop declining enrollment, which is a statewide trend.
Oh, I see.
Which is a statewide trend.
Yeah.
And then work on that pension. That's something that they really work at, is those who fund that are able to achieve higher ratings.
Babies, basically.
Yes.
Babies.
We strongly encourage babies.
Yes, thanks. Okay, thank you for that.
No, thank you. Go ahead.
Did you have questions?
You may have answered my question with Dr. Fernando. So just doing a little bit of math, Glendora Unified School District is 61 years old. for the first 44 years, we didn't do any sort of a bond. And maybe that's typical. Maybe for the first 40 years, you really don't need to be. Your maintenance budget is I don't know how long you should be going without needing a bond. And so it was 44 years when we went and got our first bond, and then 5 years later we came back for the second one, and then we have not had one for 17 years since then. Not because for lack of trying on anybody's part, but since then. Clearly, the district has done a tremendous job in being responsible with the funds that we have received from our taxpayers, which is really important to the Glendora community. Like, getting as much as you possibly can for your dollar is a very high priority, is what we learned when we tried in 2017. But I'm just wondering, in your experience with other districts, do you see 17-year gaps from when districts are going from one bond to the next bond, if you will?
So I just want to make a point of clarification. I would need to check to know about that 44-year history.
Okay.
This is kind of the recent history and kind of what is outstanding.
Okay.
And the only reason why 17 is included is because it was after the 2005.
Yes, I do know that there were no bonds before that.
Okay, so that we have the point of clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I do know.
So the Proposition 39 limitations, which is a maximum tax rate per 100,000, when a projection of that, is since then, it is uncommon for a district to go 17 years without another measure. There's often 10 years or so, and then they get layered on top of each other, because, like I said, because of the tax rate limitation. So you have a relatively unusual circumstance here.
Right. That is what I
suspected.
What I agree with. Okay, and we get into when it becomes appropriate to reconsider things that way. So I do appreciate all this information. I didn't really understand the thing about the callable bonds, and when the next chunk of it was coming where we could do something with it. That information I was not aware of. So I think that's great, and I hope that we get this presentation put up on our website for any community member that might be interested in understanding what the remainder of our bonds look like. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And just a comment, it should be noted that in the last 17 years, our other education partner, Citrus College, has had other measures. Yes.
Yeah, multiple.
Ms. Borden?
Make sure my mic was on. I just wanted to make a statement here that I'm very happy to hear that we have been good stewards of this money, because I think sometimes the public doesn't understand that. I mean, when we're down below that $60
That's right.
per 100,000, is that what it is?
Assessed value.
Yeah, that's pretty darn good, and that we're making our obligations and refinancing every opportunity that we can. So that's just a statement, no question. Thank you.
And along with that, the assessed value is not the actual value of the home, because if you've been in there for 50 years or whatever.
One more thing, and this is not, it's another statement. We are in such need in this district of facilities improvements. Think of technology, think of the track, think of air conditioning at our middle schools. We're living on borrowed time, folks. And we can't even get parts now for those air conditioners. We have to send out of the country for them. Is that what I understand? Yes, and these students shouldn't have to sit in heat, and neither should our teachers.
Well, and the chiller that we had to rent, it was the size of a diesel truck, was $14,000 a month. And so that's what they were told. Anyway, that's all. Thank you so much.
It's a popular topic that you bring to us tonight.
Well, you've done a good job managing with what you have.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for presenting with us tonight and sharing with the board the information about the status of our bonding capacity and where it stands. And I think next steps really are to be able to look at how can we leverage additional dollars that are available to us from the state. We have talked about this before, and we are going to continue to work on those strategies and go after any kind of way that we can either match grants with state programs or apply for additional grants that would provide us with the funding that we need. And we continue to make sure that we are able to provide all the services that we can to our students. So thank you.
Thank you for going after the
Yeah.
grants.
And as I said, the staff, all of you have been great at going after grants, and we do appreciate that. Thank you. Then, under discussion action item 6.1, board policy revisions, BP 5141.21, administering medication and monitoring health conditions. Dr. Kelson.
Yes, thank you. I bring for your consideration this evening a revised board policy that specifically will allow health clerks and other trained district professionals to administer Narcan. In the unfortunate event that one of our students or a staff member takes rainbow fentanyl or any of the other related fentanyl products, that we can administer this, those who are trained can administer that life-saving remedy. It is important for this body to note that administering the Narcan is not harmful to anyone who receives it. So that's a second layer of protection in addition to the training.
And usually we'll have a first read, but because of health and safety, we would really like to pass this tonight. Now, I probably should have asked for a motion first. So, sorry.
So
Ma'am.
moved.
Second.
Okay, so Mrs. Reuter moved and Dr. Fernando.
I move
Second
that
it.
we, I'm sorry, I move that we.
Approve it.
Approve,
Yes.
move through the first reading and approve the board policy.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for clarification.
Okay.
Waive second.
Waive second reading.
Yes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then do we have to have another motion to approve it?
No.
Okay. Whew, thank goodness. Okay, thank you, Dr. Kelson. Then, 6.2, approve, ratify the local indicators for California dashboard as a required part of a new California Department of Education policy. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Reuter.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Fernando. Dr. Kelson?
Thank you. I would just like to remind the community that the local indicators are part of the Local Control and Accountability Plan, or LCAP, development process. We are accountable to reflect on how we are performing as a district team based on the feedback that we receive and on some other data indicators that are related there, including college and career readiness, et cetera. So I'm confident that we have met those requirements for yet another year, and because we recently submitted them in time for the deadline, we brought them forth to you.
Thank you. It's always good to have them on time. Appreciate that. Any questions?
And I would just like to make a statement. When I glanced through the copy of the report sent off, I want to remind people who do take the time to look at that, that the numbers are not a grading system about us comparative to any other district. If we have a 4, it's not 4 out of all the districts. It's our own metrics internally. We're comparing ourselves to where we are to the standard. So it's not that we have a 2 with our next generation science standards because we're in the early, what's the right word for 2? Early adoption process. So it's more where you are in your process as a district, not receiving a grade from a body or as it compares to anybody else. And I think that's really important for people to understand.
Yeah,
Am
you
I right?
can't- Yeah, you can't compare.
You are correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, you cannot compare.
Right.
Look at these points. Good point. Thank you.
I guess you could compare us to ourselves year over year
Yes.
to be seeking progress, but really that's the only, and they like to change the dashboard
Yeah.
just about every other year, so it makes it hard to have an apples to apples comparison. But anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Approve/ratify resolution 22.23, dash 05.
We need to take a motion for the previous.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed, thank you. I thought of that and then I went on to other things. Okay. Approve/ratify resolution 22-23-05 to recognize October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as Week of the School Administrator as presented.
So moved.
Thank you.
Sorry.
We'll let Ms. Board be the second this time.
Second.
Dr. Kelson, is that you again?
I'll be happy to speak to this on behalf of our team. Our school administrators, particularly those serving directly on our school sites, are of vital importance to the success of students, the engagement of families, and the success of our teachers and counselors. We are tremendously grateful for them and wanted to take a few minutes this evening to bring forth what I understand from Dr. DeGrazia is the first official resolution honoring our school administrators in the district's history.
Well, that's a great thing. Thank you. Anybody want to say anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. I'll have to remember that. That's this week.
That's right now.
That's
Get
right
moved.
now. It's
Get,
going
get
on.
bacon tonight.
Yeah. I'm still on grandparent
Get
for one
voted.
more day. 6.4, approve, ratify resolution 22-23-06 to recognize October 24th through the 28th, 2022 as Red Ribbon Week as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenson.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Reuter. Dr. Kelson, are you going to speak to that?
I will gladly. I'd like to thank Mr. Osborne and his team for maintaining a long-standing tradition of bringing awareness to our students and community. I'd like to also thank our PTAs who were honored earlier this evening for their diligence in supporting this campaign. Red Ribbon Week will be the 24th to 28th of October, and I look forward to our student artists coming shortly after that to present the winning posters. So
That's always fun. What is our theme this year?
Mr.
I've read it so many times.
We're working on it.
one moment, I'll tell you. You're gonna look it up.
Sorry. Well, okay, all in favor?
Aye, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, okay.
Hear that before I voted.
Celebrate. If I may, I believe this is a commendable theme and worth voting in favor of. Celebrate life, live drug-free.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you.
Double aye.
Yeah. Okay, consent items, the Board of Education may consider agenda consent items as a whole or as individual divisions. Any item may be removed by a member of the board for discussion and possible action. Is there anything that anybody wants to?
I actually would like to pull out 10.2 in business services, please.
10.2, okay. May I have a motion? Why don't you go ahead and make the motion?
So I motion that we blanket approve all consent items except for item 10.2.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mrs. Reuter, would you like to address 10.2?
I would like to make a motion to approve, ratify the consultant Larry Engelbrecht services contract as presented. Thank you, and I would just like Mrs. Vicar to talk about this pretty awesome opportunity.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to share with the board and the community about the exciting new program underneath aviation, where we are looking to create a pilots program and introduce students to the career field of aviation. What we're looking to do is to actually build a classroom lab that would include actual simulators that meet the Federal Aviation Administration standards, and the teacher that we would hire would actually have the appropriate credentials to allow for them to be able to give ground school time on these particular simulators. What Mr. Engelbrecht will be doing is he will be working with some of the partners on the MOUs that are needed. He'll be taking the FAA curriculum that we would be using in order to be able to work on the ground school curriculum so that we can put that into a sequence so that we can offer classes starting in the fall.
That was my question.
And
This fall.
This fall.
This is ROP, right?
This is going to be a combination of ROP and the district. Yes.
All in favor?
Very excited.
Thank you. Aye.
Okay, motion passed. We are excited about, so thrilled. It will be such a feather in our cap, and it will be so good for our students. So thank you, Mrs. Vicar. Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Is this another unique program that would be unique to Glendora that might bring us some relief from our declining enrollment?
This possibly could be a program that could do that over a period of time. I'm excited to be able to work on this in collaboration with Ed Services, and I think it definitely meets some of the standards within the science standards as well, right?
Of course.
So there's a huge element within that, and so, but with that, yes, do I think this will be an attraction for students to want to come to our school district? Yes, very much so.
And this is at the high school.
This will be located at the high school.
Okay, thank you very much.
All those in favor?
You did make a motion, would you?
I did.
We already motioned. We already
Oh,
Motion
that's,
and
sorry,
second.
I was already on to,
Did
I
we
was
vote?
already to adjourn.
We already voted to.
We already voted.
Thank you.
But you can vote again.
We did.
I know.
We voted
Yes.
before we talked.
Yes, we did.
You can.
Thank you. Then now I need a motion to adjourn. Unless somebody- Thank you, Mr. Ellenson.
Second.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Reuter got there first. Motion is at 8:41. We are adjourned. Get ready.
Hi.